Craig, the ACC, my God, it's taken us forever, like me trying to run a 40-yard dash. Here is Wake Forest.
Yeah, I mean, we took like a week break from it, so that's why it's taken long, is when you have a big gap in between, we can't get to the end of it, but I think we have finally managed to find our way there.
This is like popping the bubble right here.
So for those just tuning in, I mean, this is not a intricate breakdown of the 2025 season for these teams, but we've just been going school by school, conference by conference, taking a glimpse into their schedule for 2025 as we started this back when schedules were being released. Now they've been out there for a while, but it's not a full-on diagnosis and prediction on next year. It's just looking at the schedule and seeing kind of the path that each team has taken, and then along the way retaining some information or maybe figuring some things out about who's playing who that maybe we didn't know prior to that. So just an off-season exercise to take a look around the entire country. And so we've been chipping away at the ACC, and we have found our way to Wake Forest, which, like I said, this isn't a breakdown, but there are some things to note with Wake Forest, namely that they have a brand-new head coach as Dave Clawson stepped down during the offseason and made way for Jake Dickert to jump on over from Pullman and Washington State to become the new head coach of the Demon Deacons. So it is the Jake Dickert show starting this season, and what I find notable about that is not only do you have a new head coach, so one that's notable, but Wake Forest, just the third head coach since 2000, which if you were doing that in 2010 would not be that big of a deal. But given that it's been 25 years, this is only their third head coach in the last 25 years. They had Jim Grobe for well over 10 years from 2001 to 2013. And then Dave Clawson, who just wrapped up his 2014 to 2024 run there. So, this is new to have a new coach for them. It doesn't happen very often, and it's only the third time in 25 years. So we'll see what Jake Dickert could do. And by the way, should mention Steve Angeli will play Notre Dame next season. That is, I think, the next to last game. Rolling back to that as we're talking ACC schedules. Syracuse does play Notre Dame at the end of the year. For what that's worth, just kind of tying that together. But what about Wake Forest? Are they going to see Steve Angeli? No, unless it's in the ACC championship game. But who they will see up first is on Friday, August the 29th, Kennesaw State. I feel like they're on everybody's schedule that we've done so far. I've said their name at least 10 times. I think we've gone over their entire schedule without trying to. But Kennesaw State there in Winston-Salem on a Friday night is how they will kick things off. Then on Saturday, September the 6th, it'll be Western Carolina, also at home. And then another home game, Thursday, September the 11th. It will be North Carolina State taking on Wake Forest. So 3 games, and then your first bye week on Saturday, September the 20th. So you have a bye week within the first month. You also do not leave your home stadium over the course of that first, month or so, because they still have a September 27th game. But 3 home games to start things off with: Kennesaw State, Western Carolina, NC State, and then that early bye week. But what's also of interest is it's a Friday, Saturday, Thursday schedule to start things off with for Wake Forest, which is kind of unique to be playing on 3 different nights. So there will be weekday games if you're a Wake Forest fan. The good news is those 2 non-Saturday games are those 2 games that I mentioned. The rest of the schedule is all Saturday. But thoughts on the first trio of games for Wake Forest?
Is that tailgating smoke, or is that like clouds in the sky? What is that right there?
I think it's clouds.
It's clouds.
I mean,
it's clouds. I mean, because there's trees.
Okay, just asking. I was
All
a
right.
little worried about
All
them
right.
around that stadium.
Again,
I thought it might be like a barbecue pit.
I'm just going to ask you, while
that's my attention deficit.
While you're still cogent, while you're still with us, just start looking at homes that we can put you in that you would like. Like,
am I the only one that
here's the
saw
thing.
that graphic and thought there might be something that's not clouds?
No, I thought clouds. I'm just saying, look, I want you to be able to pick the home you're in and don't make us all pick it for you.
I know. No, yeah, I've got time.
Okay, because we'll do it.
Hey, you're the one that's getting old.
You're way older than me, so I just want to be able to help out.
Always will be until the day that I'm not.
No, this should be a 2-1 start for them, at least. Again, NC State and Wake Forest are kind of in the same boat here. NC State, obviously not with the new coach, but as far as the roster goes and all that, they've both been more victims of the transfer portal than they've been beneficiaries of it. That's for sure over the last few years. So, we'll see. But it is nice that your first, the first month they don't get on a bus, they don't get on a plane, they don't get in anything, nothing.
Nope. All at home. So that ought to be nice for them. Then they return home after that first bye week. Four games right out of the gates, all at home, and a bye week. So 5 weeks of never leaving home, as they will welcome in the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets on Saturday, September the 27th. So that ought to be a tough game on paper for them at least. Saturday, October 4th at Virginia Tech, as they hit the road for the very first time on October the 4th. So that's definitely an interesting start to the season for them. And then they will be traveling a little bit, as they will go from Blacksburg, Virginia, all the way across the country on Saturday, October the 11th, to take on the Oregon State Beavers at Reser Stadium there in Corvallis. And that ends their second 3-game stint. So they have a 3-3-6 schedule. And there is no exact science with this. We've had every single combination I think you can imagine at this point for the most part. But for what it's worth, they are a 3-3-6. So 3 games, bye week, 3 games, bye week, and then 6 straight that we'll get to. But Georgia Tech at Vatech at Oregon State they round out the non-conference there.
That's kind of late.
They don't round it out. They have another non-conference game actually later, deeper, very SEC stylish. But there you go.
Isn't that kind of late to have a non-conference game, your 6th game of the year in a conference?
Well,
I know you have the rivalry games sometimes at the end.
Well, it's nothing compared to the November 22nd non-conference game they have. It's a little bit late in the year. If that's late, then that one's very late in the year.
Yeah, they're trying to tuck their SEC hide game away from everybody. They only play 8 conference games. Again, I've said this. Why doesn't the ACC get more criticism for 8 games and the SEC gets all?
Because they're not as good.
Because they're not winning a bunch of national championships.
Not as good. I mean, Wake Forest only plays 8 conference games. Wake Forest isn't out there complaining. They're not saying oh, you guys don't know how hard this is in the ACC.
Yeah.
They're not. The reason the SEC gets criticized for it is, whenever any kind of minor strife comes their way, they're like, our life is so hard.
Yep.
You don't know what it's like.
We have to cut with a spoon.
Yeah. We walk uphill both ways in the snow. It's hard
Backwards.
in the SEC.
Yeah.
It's sad. The ACC is just hey, we're happy to be here. Thanks a lot.
Can we please still be included in the future?
That was messed up what you did a couple years ago, but we don't like them anyway. So
well, you got a couple of Techs back to back against Tech, and then that game you said that's kind of tucked a little bit into the schedule.
But they, look, this is I like some of the moves they've made as far as building out the roster, but it's still going to be year 1 for Jake Dickert. So I expect this to be a bit of an up and down situation. But as non-conference games goes, he's going to know Oregon State when he goes out there. So kind of he would know them better than the previous coaching staff would. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there will be some familiarity there. So at Oregon State, middle of the season non-conference game, then their second bye week, and then the sixth straight to close the season, which is not all ACC games, as I mentioned, but it will be as they get back to work and take on SMU. They're in Winston-Salem. Then it's to Tallahassee against Florida State, to Charlottesville to take on Virginia. Then back at home, taking on North Carolina in a Big Four game. Then that late non-con, very SEC-esque late non-conference game there on November the 22nd. Back at home, it will be Wake Forest and the Delaware Blue Hens, and they make it back-to-back Blue games, as then they will travel on Saturday, November the 29th to Durham, North Carolina, another Big Four game to meet up with the Blue Devils. So from Blue Hens to Blue Devils, and that is all she wrote. So they have 6 straight to close the season, and some road trips to Tallahassee, to Charlottesville, and to Durham in that 6-game stretch. But that's how it works. 3-3-6 non-conference against Kennesaw State, Western Carolina, Oregon State on the road, and then Delaware. They do avoid playing Miami. They do avoid playing Clemson. They do avoid playing Syracuse. Those are just some of the schools that they will miss out on playing with this year's schedule.
And no California schools.
And no Cali cross-country, trips to Stanford or to Berkeley.
But they're playing
in Corvallis.
Corvallis, okay. So they do have a long trip, but not the 2 schools.
Yeah, but after you get 4 straight, 5 straight weeks to start the season in a bye week where you don't have to leave.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's pretty good.
So one cross-country trip before another bye week and a home game shouldn't be that rough on the guys.
No, I mean, they'll be 2-1, if not 3-0 to start the season, and then they'll get a break and they'll feel good about being 2-1 or 3-0, and then we'll really get a taste when they get that second 3-game stint, and then we'll see where they are on the other side of having gone to Corvallis and having played Georgia Tech, and we'll see about Virginia Tech, but that's in Blacksburg. So, they won't figure out until late September of what this team really even looks like against, sturdy competition. But that last 6-game stretch, I mean, we'll see where they are, if they need 2 wins to make a bowl game in year 1 or wherever they are, but it does ramp up towards the end.
I think they've got to be 4-2 out of the second bye week if they want to finish 6-6. If they're 3-3, I think they're playing a little fast and loose with that. Now, I mean, not that it's that much harder, but I think if they're 4-2 out of the first 6, this is a bowl team. If not, then I think they're gonna probably hit a wall.
I'd agree with that, because they'll beat Delaware, but beyond that, I don't think there's definitely not a gimme game. Strongest you'd feel about was Virginia, but that's on the road, and I don't know, but they'll be on paper. This is what this exercise is. Like I said at the beginning, it's not full blown predictions, but they'll be in some trouble if they don't come out of that non-conference 2-1 or 3-0, which I can't imagine they won't. But there's your schedule for Wake Forest in 2025.